Yeah, it's all go in the world today, isn't it? So welcome to Good Vibe Solutions. We have some special guests with us today. Rivers Coaching, who we're gonna have on, and it's like a hat trick of wisdom, and it is amazing. So we're gonna have them on, and we're gonna talk about what's going on, solutions, what they get up to, and please, yeah, welcome your comments and share. And if my toddler comes in, it means it's over. So bear with us. Hey, welcome.
Hi, Liv.
How are you?
We're good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, maintaining semblance in this. And
your hair looks great.
Why, thank you. And welcome to, we have here the amazing trio of wisdom, like they're sages. Think of the three wise men in that sacred text. This is the three wise sages from Rivers Coaching. Where they're about to drop the lessons the empowerment lessons that you did not get in school. So please engage, connect. We haven't got much time, and so we're going to let them introduce themselves. Welcome to everybody that's watching here, the Instagram squad, and on another screen, the YouTube squad as a backup. Please introduce yourself, Rivers Coaching, as we have the King's Locks in sight. Go for it.
So basically, because we're trying to make sure that all three of us are on screen, it's still like
go for it.
To do our proper setup.
Yeah.
But while Ekow is setting up, I'll explain who we are. So my name is Alanna. I am one of the founders of Rivers Coaching, and we are an organisation that delivers coaching to radicals in the public sector. And our reason for working with people in the public sector is because we see the public sector as providing services that are legal and statutory rights of all people, and therefore we need them to be removed of oppressive and unequal processes. And so we work with radicals to dismantle those systems and start to push for equitable systems in that place. So yeah, that's what we do. My name is Alanna, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Ekow and Katherine.
Welcome.
I don't know if they want to introduce themselves as well.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm Ekow. Work with Rivers Coaching, obviously. That's why we're here. History of youth work and advocacy in, I guess, sort of like revolutionary practice, inclusion, anti-racist practice. Like, that's not what it was called, but that's what we were doing, and that's what we were learning. But that's exactly what it is. And even more so now, that's definitely what we're dedicated towards. Usually I'm the person who's up on live saying videos, being the loudmouth for the group. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katherine. So I've been lead coach at Rivers Coaching for the past 3 years, but I've been in education for nearly 20 years, mainly in the East London and North London area. Spent a lot of time working in alternative provisions or segregated schools, as I would call them. So I've always just been about kind of social justice, and more recently kind of abolition and liberatory practices.
Thank you so much. We're going to get into the bones of things and really appreciate your time. So the reason why we wanted to, basically, there's so much information. It's like an ocean of reality, past, present, has been raised to the surface. And for those there's people like you who walk the talk, experiences, share, and try and bridge the gaps in this knowledge. And then there's people who are waking up to it. The people who do not want to wake up to it and deny us, this is not for you, so switch off now. It's for people who are in between, that kind of, the people who are between the pendulum of good and evil, that actually want to keep it at good, keep the swing at good. And this is why I appreciate your time, because this is mainly for, we've got answers. They've all been there all along, from our ancestors to present. So this is about sustainable, permanent change and actions. And I think you guys have the answers to that. So basically, yeah, you told about Rivers Coaching. We want to start off, this is good vibes. Any uplifting, positive news that you can share? Rivers Coaching, personal, trending.
Yeah, so it's hard to think of positive in terms of very specific and tangible things that we are seeing right now. Well, we saw a statue get teared down yesterday in Bristol. That was fun.
Edward Colston, for people who don't know, a statue of Edward Colston, him and his descendants. A lot of tourists walk about in Liverpool, UK, and worldwide. Benefited from enslavement, and a lot of people in Bristol tore that disgrace down.
Absolutely.
Good for them.
Big up Bristol.
And it was a lot of white people doing it, and I appreciate that it was them, because that's what we need to start thinking about in terms of white allyship. White allyship is a phrase that I don't usually care for, just because I think for me it has felt very closely aligned to the kind of liberal agenda, and so I don't necessarily trust white allyship. But the tearing down of that statue, where I saw white bodies doing that instead of black bodies, that felt very good, because I'm like, if there are repercussions, at least it's not on those black bodies and more so on those white bodies, because we know that they will have lesser sentences or repercussions. So that was really good to see. Another thing that I wanted to highlight, and it's based on what you said just now, Olive, is the answers are already there and they already exist. And we had a group conversation with a good friend of mine who is or was a social worker. We had a conversation with her on Friday, and she studied with me many years ago when we were at SOAS, where I did my undergraduate studies. And she was saying part of her frustration with a lot of the kind of awakening that's happening now with the protests is people like, okay, where do we start, or what's the next step? And she's like, nah, this work has been happening. It's been started. And I like the fact that you say from our ancestors till now, like that work and that kind of resistance and that fight is in our blood and has been for centuries. And not only that, just from a kind of more modern perspective, there's people within this country, especially black people, who have been fighting this fight and screaming from their lungs and, you know, pushing for change for so long. So, there's almost a bit of a disrespect when people are like, where do we start? This shit has been started for a very long time. And if anything, people waking up are coming to join that movement. But it's been there, whether we're thinking about the supplementary schools and, those kind of movements, mutual aid, which has existed within our communities, and the OAT collective, and loads of other things within our British Black tradition that has been fighting for racial equality, justice, and freedom. It's been there, and I think I felt so good to be reminded of that by my colleague Keisha, and I want to remind anyone else out there that that's happening. We need to continue that, but not forget those people that came before us and were fighting that fight. Some of them alive, some of them passed on.
Thank you. Any other good news, Katherine, Ekow, that you want to share? Despite the adversity and the kind of white wall of media.
I'm laughing only because, as terrible as everything's been in the news, I don't know that I've had I've had this great piece of news or this really good thing. However, I don't know, I guess I've found my little moments of joy or jokes or whatever else in the midst of all of it. So I guess that's good, isn't it? Not losing joy or not being able to not find it in this moment, because I think everything has felt so heavy and felt so laboured, and despite however it is that we might be feeling because of it all, and there's a lot of different feelings from those who are doing the work to on top of the black people doing just being black in the current climate has been a lot. So never mind that if you're already then labouring as well to try and have stopped all of this from happening. And I said yesterday seeing that statue come down was good. It was interesting because what Alanna said was that it was good to see that's what maybe allyship would look like, and a lot of it feels false. But I'm for us either. So if it needs to come down, you need to take it down. You need to realise that you shouldn't be having statues in honor of people who were just terrible. So so that was a good moment. I still get to enjoy, and despite how terrible things are, I enjoy my life and who I get to do it with. So,
Katherine?
I'm gonna put my glasses on. I was trying to pose before on it, but I want to be able to.
Where's Katherine gone? Where is she? Where's Alanna gone with the superhero glasses? Hello.
Yeah, so good news. I guess it's kind of good news, but it's sad and it's heavy in a way, and just a real sense of pride in my dad, who left a WhatsApp group yesterday, and he's part of a WhatsApp group with friends that he's been friends with for over 50 years, like part of a sports team, and they were like a really multicultural team, and they've always been like brothers and been to each other's weddings and everything, and their children call the team members uncle. And but over the past week, when discussions have been going on around the kind of the Black Lives Matter protests and stuff, he's just been seeing problematic statements being made from some of the non-Black teammates, and he's been kind of going back and forth with a few people and was feeling really uncomfortable about it, and he's kind of made some excuses for those people and stuff as the week has gone on. But he got to the point yesterday where he said, you know what, this is racism, and I can't stay, and I won't stay. And he actually phoned me up yesterday, essentially in tears, because he had left, and and it was a massive thing for him. And whilst I was really like, this is great, and this is a moment to celebrate, I also realised that this is him kind of cutting ties with people who he's called brothers and stuff in the past. And as a result of him leaving, a number of his teammates phoned him, and he actually talked to them about the fact that we have to call this what it is racism. And so for me, I see that as good news, because he's somebody who's about to hit 70. And so at 70, to be making that stand, as painful as it is, kind of gives me some hope. And he's not somebody that I would describe as being radical in the past. So it's not like I would say it's one of those radical people anyway, So to see him kind of make that stand and make that move, I think was very brave. And it actually has made me think about, are there friendship groups, are there circles, are there WhatsApp groups that I need to kind of be honest with myself and say, actually, do you know what? I shouldn't be here. And in me remaining in this space, I'm kind of complicit in it, and I'm kind of in my silence, okay in it. So,
yeah. It's a very difficult thing to do. I mean, one thing, cutting the umbilical cord, your social cord, your cultural cord, and that kind of chosen family. But when you're tested, I don't want to speak for you guys, but for me, I already know if I'm tested, what I will do, irrespective of my natural, I can suppress my natural instincts for my survival, but usually it will be for others. But the lock-off starts time ago. And I think it's very hard, because there's no safety net when you cut the cord, because you're also still connected to those people. But if those people are detrimental to your life, whose life do you value more? Moving on, because I am very tired, and I'm going to talk about some things that in the pre-briefing, Alanna always sharing some points, so that I want you guys to elaborate on, please. If you don't want to comment, that's welcome. But in the pre-briefing, Alanna, you mentioned some points about the realities of your life and experiences. And one thing that you said, the government can't save us. And so can you elaborate on that, on any topic that you want to talk about? I've got some here. You guys want to cover it, but yeah, the government can't save us. What did you mean by that?
I think I mean the government won't save us. Sorry, hi Sasha, I just see someone join. When I replaced the can't with won't, because I've existed within a lot of and interacted in my life with loads of institutions, and when I've had such poor service or poor experiences there, And I guess now, you know, like Katherine, 20 years into the education game, but both being a student as well as a teacher, you start to see how intentional those systems are in creating disadvantage, in creating oppression. And it's not by accident. And so when we think of, you know, systems failing people, no, the systems are doing exactly what they're intended to do, to filter out certain people, to oppress certain people, to be violent to certain demographics. And so the government won't save us is a comment on its intentions to constantly keep us oppressed and constantly stop us from being able to thrive. And I've got examples of that within my experience within education, but also lots of other institutions. And before I allude to those examples, like, I'll open it up to you guys.
I just agree with what Alanna is saying, and that, you know, we were talking about the other day, the fact that, for example, in a number of US states and cities, they actually have all of the infrastructure there for everybody to be able to have access to free Wi-Fi, but that's not happening. So, yeah, just to emphasize what you're saying, Dan, that, yeah, they choose not to save us. They choose not to save us, and actually they're actively, as you said, trying to kill us.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not. So it's like, cause at every, this is like this. What she said is a statement that, like, I think for the people at our core, which is why we're here. This is why we do what we do, is because we don't believe. We know that there is no desire from anyone in positions of governmental legal power or legal authority to do what's right for us as in us as Black people, but for the general populace. And you can literally just take any aspect of the lives that we live that the government is involved in, and you can break it down as to why they actually don't care about us as Black people or about the common man. And the fact that it is hard for so many, because for some reason the pressure is always on us to sacrifice. There's always something else that we have to do to prove, whether it's proving that we're worthy, whether proving that we're deserving of, whether not just fair treatment, access to basic services, access to basic, like human dignity. All of that stuff is always there's either bureaucracy that you have to go through to gain access to what should be, or what we'd all assume are like basic human rights, or there is a hierarchy of who actually deserves it, who deserves it more.
What I would add there is we also have to think about the language. So the government won't save us. When we're thinking about the idea of saving, we don't want to be saved. Because when we think about charities and stuff who say that they're coming to help or they're coming to save, it automatically victimizes populations. It's a real hierarchical thing. It's also very dangerous because it kind of re-emphasizes this idea of like whiteness as superiority. Like, we're fine and we don't need changing or fixing, and it is minoritized people or Black people who there's something wrong with us, and so we need to be helped, we need to be fixed, we need to be saved. And so I kind of have I kind of struggle with the idea of saving as a concept.
And just as an example that I said in terms of institutions, if you look at a lot of Black policy and literature, there's a kind of acceptance with the stark disparities that we see in things. I don't know if you've seen the recent COVID report on looking at disparities, Olive, but when they talk about how ethnic minorities have been impacted by COVID, there's this kind of like blaseness to it, even though people are dying at 4 times. Black people are dying at 4 times the rate as their white counterparts. And that's not new. I read a lot of policy. When I was doing research on behavior policies and exclusions as impacted by Black children, I looked at different exclusion rates over, because the government have to produce this data yearly. And I looked at it over a 5-year period. And every time they would break it down based on special educational needs, they'd break it down on this and that and whatever else. When it came to the breakdown on why Black children were disproportionately being excluded higher than anyone else, they were like, well, you know, there are high numbers of these children getting excluded, but that's to be expected. And so there's this kind of acceptance of just, you know, getting rid of children, and that it's almost like this genetic thing that Black children will be in jails or being excluded or whatever else. There's no kind of conversation with that saying, this is terrible, or there's no policies that go along with it that say we need to see schools actively doing something to challenge these disparities and trying to remove them. It's this very comfortable acceptance of these stark disparities because it's not their problem. And so when I say the government won't save us, they have no interest in changing the setup or the dynamic.
And just to sort of back up that point, because when you were doing the research for that, when was the last piece of research, actual research, not the government data, the research that you found was 20 years old?
So research around kind of Black outcomes across lots of different sectors, whether it be education, mental health, whatever, it just doesn't exist in the UK. And if it does, it doesn't do it in terms of longitudinal studies. There's not many people. And again, because there's not an interest. You see, often when we're doing research, we have to look abroad to the US and try and extrapolate, but there's nothing here. And I don't know why, because we know that Black outcomes have been disproportionately worse for years, as long as, you know, we've had Black populations here. So wouldn't it make sense to do that research and act on it? It's not here, it's not funded. They don't care about it.
The irony is, I mean, I love this, and everyone who's viewing and who are watching the replay, please contribute things that we might be missing, because we can put the answer together. Very briefly, no, I have not had a chance to read the details of the fallout, but what I have referenced is, and noticed, incoming toddler, what I have referenced is...
I love my face.
Okay, you write on here, Baba. Yeah, she's, so anyway, if you write on here, Baba. Hello from baby to everybody. I just don't want her on camera. Now, the issue that I have is that we know that if there's people like us searching for answers and working hard, they do exist in every sector of authority, local level, and different institutions. The issue is, if there was political will, there would be the answers, there would be the proper research, there would be the proper connect with all of the civil service departments, the Office of National Statistics, all the public health bodies. So far, consistently, people go and research, corroborative, do your own research and jump offs. But the reason why there's the distrust that Alanna mentioned earlier is that there is no consistency beyond the lip service. If you're doing consultation with the people who are in the know, then why, for example, Independent SAGE, which is a scientific advisory group, independent people in the know who have international research, it's not, you use our money or not to have these collaborations, to have these people consult, but then it's not taken aboard. And then you have local authorities, schools, other people who might be penalized for not following statutory rules set by the government. Hence you get this disconnect, and there's political will to get our taxes. There's political will to get our money. And so all of these things, we're not talking and wasting our energy for energy's sake. This is a disconnect that we brought on you guys to talk about. So thank you for that. You've covered education, and Ekow mentioned earlier about no access and things like that. Something that you brought up, I know that Alanna, you talked about health and hospitals and mutual aid. I wanted you guys to talk about self-censorship, which is something you mentioned. Considering you're so articulate and you guys are pushing Rivers Coaching and helping so many people, passionate people who want to help and make future leaders, but are bottlenecked by everything you talk about, what kind of self-censorship or censorship do you encounter, whatever context?
Well, I mean, right now we're doing a thing where the discussion is around funding for organizations. And so you find yourself in the position, I think a lot of organizations find them, or people even setting up organizations to do work within the community, basically finding themselves in a position where they have to go, well, this is a work I'd really like to do, but if I really want to get money, I can't say that's what I want to do. I have to scale it all the way back to make it safe, to make it palatable, to do something that everyone always does. So instead of saying, well, actually, no, we have a radical approach to this and we want to be anti-colonial and anti-racist and build systems to subvert, the oppression that happens in society, you go, well, actually, Black boys don't do well in school, so I'm going to set up a mentoring program for them. So that, because they don't have strong male figures in their lives. And so suddenly, where you're saying, actually, every level of this system is broken, and so we need to work with your leaders, we need to work with frontline staff and link you with parents and with the local community and say, actually, it's a big problem that can't be solved with all of these things, and actually, all of you are part of it. You have to go, well, actually, we understand you're all here trying to help, and we really would like to work with you. We really would like some money. Or even to the point where you go, oh no, I'll do it for free, even just because you're trying to get something done. The number of hoops that you have to jump through to get to even to have those meetings. Forget even trying to get the money, just to get a meeting, because people don't care, and so you learn to then mute yourself because the feedback you'll get is, this is too radical, or this is too extreme, they won't go for it, and there's always something that you're doing that's too much. And so what you find is that it becomes less about trying to do good work even, and more about making sure that the people who are the gatekeepers, the people who are creating the obstacles, the people who are maintaining the obstacles and maintaining the oppression that exists, you have to make sure that they're comfortable with your presence. And so it becomes like this sort of macrocosm then of your personal Black lives that you live, where you're constantly having to make yourself small. You can't mention the everyday racism that you encounter that goes beyond physical and verbal violence or even emotional violence. You have to then endure silently all the rudeness and the disrespect that people show you, regardless of your expertise, regardless of your knowledge, regardless of your age. You just have to you sit there silently, take it and be quiet, because like some of us have been told, like, wait till you get inside, just don't, hold it down for now, dress more conservatively so that you can get in the building, make sure your hair doesn't look this way, make sure, forget hair and school kids, that's even a whole other thing. But all of these things we're doing as adults just to get our foot in the door and be quiet, but then you need to maintain your position, so you're going to keep on being quiet. So then, that's when you're trying to just stay within the system. If you're trying to go outside of it and say, actually, you know what, all of this is wrong and it's hurting people, you find then that either no one's even trying to listen to you if you're talking that boldly, if you're talking that out loud, and so you either silence yourself or you find other people trying to silence you. Even people who are with you, people who support you, people who think, yeah, this is good, it's necessary, but. And so it's always that button. So you learn to then make yourself small. You learn to play small. You learn to not really push I'm saying you, because I think, we've all been, I think in our personal lives, it's taken a lot of growth. And then even professionally, then it takes a lot of growth to go like, sorry, can I swear?
Bring it.
Before you get to the point where you're like, no, fuck this, it's wrong. And we're not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. And so fuck your comfort. fuck your whatever your gatekeeping, fuck your sensibilities, fuck the system, fuck the processes that you put in place. It's all wrong. And if you don't want us in there, cool, don't have us in there. But it's just gonna have to come down at some point. And so you can either have us help you do it so you can learn and we can all be better together. Because that's what we want. We're not trying out here wanting the destruction of everybody and everything on the earth, and it's just us standing on a pile of rubble at the end of it. We want that for the system, but not for everyone who has to be in it, because it doesn't serve anybody. Even the people maintaining it, it's not serving them. But we're committed to what we're committed to. So, sorry, I've talked for ages.
No, don't apologise. It's the truth. Katherine?
It just makes me think about mental health, right? Because whichever way you do it, your mental health is suffering. So if you're trying to assimilate or you're trying to kind of get in the door and stuff like that, your mental health is suffering because you know that you're not being your true self, you're not being your authentic self. If you are taking the more radical approach, your mental health is suffering and your physical health is suffering because you haven't got money to pay the bill. We live in a capitalist society, so you taking that stance means a lot of the times that you don't get to eat. It means a lot of the times that you are getting kind of poison thrown at you from all areas, even from your own family saying, yeah, but if you just did it this way, and if you just that, you'd still be doing some good. And so that's really, really damaging. You've also got the thing that really affects people's mental health of seeing your white counterparts get to be radical, seeing your white counterparts get to not self, to completely be uncensored and still get ahead and be called mavericks and be called pioneers and stuff like that. Whilst, as Ekow said, you're kind of smalling up yourself just to either get by, or for so many people that I see small up themselves because they're like, wow, this is the only way that I can be in this space and I can help my community. So I think for me, when I think of self-censorship, it just really, really makes me think of how detrimental it is for people's mental health, the traumas, how it kind of plays out physically, whether it's later on down the line, how it plays out in terms of, things like anger, how there are so many people who just completely decide to leave the work. There are so many great minds, so many amazing minds who are not doing the work that they should be doing or could be doing because they've had to make that choice, because for some of them it's actually life or death. If they actually were to continue to do the work, it would kill them.
I've just got Evolving Creative said, excellent points being made, the unwillingness of the state. Exactly.
I just wanted to add, I think this has, in terms of, I was about to say this journey in terms of doing this work in this way, it has been a journey of 7 years, but no, it's much longer than that, both professionally and personally. And I still feel I have to censor much more than I would like, because taking part in this country means a level of censorship. But I don't think we ever truly get to be, especially Black people, get to truly be ourselves. But I wanted to talk about the kind of conflict that comes with that, and I think both Katherine and Ekow alluded to this kind of, in that in many spaces where you see our people or our children have to be in those spaces, so schools, it is a legal obligation that a child either has to be in school or actually has to be educated. And remember, most Black parents potentially are from working class backgrounds and probably can't afford to self-educate at home. So a child legally has to be in those public spaces. Now, if I'm not there or teachers like me aren't there, I feel terrified at what those children are going to be left with. And so often I'm like, let me hold my tongue, because better I be there than not, because what will happen if I'm not there? And I think that's not only, I say that as a teacher, but I'm sure there's nurses that feel similarly. I'm sure there's Black social workers that feel similarly. I'm sure that there's healthcare professionals, elderly carers, and all of those things, because we don't trust the system to do and give that care, that human kind touch to those people the same way that we would, because we just see them as human. And so in terms of kind of the self-censorship, that in itself sometimes is life or death, just so that there's somebody there with our children and those people in those very, very violent spaces.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, just to add, just to go on again about language, we see it as, we're saying self-censorship. Is it actually self-censorship? Is it a choice? Is it a decision? Or is it kind of state-sanctioned censorship? So we kind of, and I think this is where we have to be a bit kinder to ourselves sometimes, because, and I'm speaking to myself as much as everyone else, because I often kind of beat myself up when I censor myself. Yeah, I beat myself up when I censor myself so many times, but sometimes I have to stop myself, and I'm like, but Katherine, you've been in this system, like you were born into like this terrible system, and you've been nothing but encouraged to censor yourself, and you've been downtrodden. And when you've had your little peeps of like making your little noise, the state has very much let you know what it thinks about you doing that. So I think sometimes we have to think about the fact that it's not necessarily self-censored, but state-censored. And the journey to kind of push against that is not an easy one. So if we sometimes find ourselves sliding, if it sometimes feels hard or it feels tiring, that's because it is a real battle. It's a real journey. And there's so many of the people who we see who are able to kind of not censor themselves, so many times they've been on a really, really long journey and a hard journey.
Can I just say before you go,
go for it.
Are you about to talk about the comments?
Yeah, go for it. You can read them out.
Yeah, no, because I was just reading a couple of comments from Fumzi, who was talking about finding herself in the same space, or I shouldn't say here, but like, yeah, they find themselves in the same space where they want to speak out but self-censor, but then when they do it in an unprofessional manner, feeling that I think they feel like they can't be a teacher because of speaking in the right language, like speaking vernacular. And I'm like, but again, and this is that whole thing of feeling like the system works. It isn't just through the sort of legal and official frameworks. It's all the unspoken rules that if you don't speak a certain way or dress a certain way, then you're not wasted space. And so that feeling of being unwelcome, and that's how the gatekeeping works as well, that the sort of like social stigmas that might be attached to who you are, where you come from, or how you speak and whatever else. And so we feel it then doubly, triply, quadruply, like it all compounds itself, because now I'm not just black, but I'm black. I'm from an I didn't go to a good school. Okay, I may not be as educated and whatever else. Meanwhile, you're smarter than every other fucker in the room because of the experience you've got. Because you had to grow up black, you know how to navigate this space. You know what it is then to be a black child in a classroom, in that space. You know the difficulties that you had with grasping this particular concept because it wasn't framed in a way that that was palatable to your particular learning style. Because even this idea that people don't achieve because of lack of method or whatever else completely ignores the diversity that exists within thought processes and within our mind. And that's even before then we get onto the sort of SEN levels of things, of actually people having special needs and how that's even diagnosed. And so starting with education, but then moving beyond that, this is what Albert said, just about decolonizing ideas of everything, because everything that we do is steeped in white colonial mentality. So the white colonial approaches. So our attitude to education values certain traits over others, or doesn't even include some traits. So our erasure isn't just to do with our skin. It's not just to do with seeing black faces in books, or or having a black teacher. It's down to it's not even to do with the scheme of work. You're going down to the actual nuances of what it is that we're teaching in the first place. Like, all of it is an erasure that we all feel, but we absorb, we think it's normal, and then feel then that we can't navigate certain spaces or have no right to navigate certain spaces because we still have this colonial idea of whatever is meant to be, of what a doctor is meant to be, or a teacher, or a fireman, or a social worker, or whatever else. And that goes not just against race, that's to do with gender and so like how we sexualize particular jobs, and so caring jobs are ultimately a woman's domain. And thinking, I'm trying to think of the right words. but jobs that seem to be more academic or more mental, and jobs that don't involve people at all.
And gender roles.
Yeah, those are more suited to men. So, you know, police work is a man. So, well, anyway, let me stop.
No. I mean, don't edit yourself. It all lands properly. I think unseen challenges. I don't know who said that. I read that a couple of weeks ago, and it's a good umbrella terms for a lot of things that you're saying. And it's very key what Katherine is saying about language as well. And what we need is people like yourselves and each other to give the unseen challenges that people have and don't have. Like we're all wired differently. Then there's the conditioning, whether it's, relations, media, societal, peer pressure. All of these things are, so that all these things that you talked about, even if you don't, how can you rise when you're already carrying so much heavy load and all of these unseen challenges that are put on you, i.e. you might be brilliant neurologically and applying ideas and stuff, but you've got these hurdles that you've all mentioned that are seen and unseen. And also there's some people who literally, it's exhausting because there's people like yourselves, not everyone, like the caregivers that Alanna mentioned, all of these people who are fighting just for self and just to get up in the morning and going for it. Some of them can't speak and can't articulate because they might think it's wrong. And so thankfully you've got different people who have different passions. What we need in terms of a permanent solution is giving each other the chance to give each other the platform and find the answers, stay united and progress, but stay in a forward movement. And I think it's very, it's exhausting, I think, for people, because there's a lot of, the warfare is different. I was thinking, why are they using war language? Where's the war? We know there's an invisible war. If you talk about language and no nonsense language, very straightforward, grasping the root language like we do, people are like, we don't get this normally. And so they're like, oh, they're militant. It's not. It's just literally, it's no nonsense. There's no spin. Yeah? There's no spin. There's no twist. It's just straight talk. And like my elders say, if you're not going to talk, you're not going to know. And so people are like, we want to know, but at the same time, And then also it means like Catherine's, forgive me, was it your father? Which elder?
Yeah, it's
so salute to him, because at the same time, it's like, oh, strength in numbers, who's going to have my back? And at that age, you know, elders, they ain't apologizing, let alone asking a younger like yourself for help or saying, I tried this, and we're talking and talking, but we appreciate you. And anyone who's watching and all the unsung heroes and sheroes, future leader. Sorry, my toddler's just walked in like she's going on a protest. Yeah, she's like dressed up. What's it called? I'm coming, babe. We're going for an exercise soon. Anyway, we appreciate you because we will go on an adventure, babe, very soon. We give thanks for you guys because there's people who want to articulate or are too busy to fight, like for genuine reasons and unseen challenges. And you're carrying that as well as trying to carry your lives. So this is why it's like, it's enough with the talking. It's enough with the factions. It's enough with the egos. It's enough with the divisions. Pastors, leaders, policymakers, everybody, whether you think you're involved, waste men drivers, waste women drivers, everybody, you can be involved. If you don't know, there's no shame in saying you do not know. Ask. The allyship that Alanna's talking about and everything. I beg, also people, in terms of sustainable solutions, please, I don't condone violence, but I beg you, cover your faces. Please, I beg, because the funding, I don't want you on camera, babe, the funding that, there's enough money to go around. It's not easy, because I'm sure there's people who want to give the money, but the issue is we don't need to be paying for bailouts. We don't need to be paying for lawyers' fees. Have you finished? Okay. What's good? That was a political broadcast from a toddler. I actually listen to her more than I listen to the news these days, because that's all I'm hearing, that kind of... Anyway, we need the money and the resources to go to organizations and hard workers who are informed, who have your best interests at heart, like Rivers Coaching, not to be always bailing out peaceful protesters, bailing out financiers, and all the people that you know about. Just because you cannot take out your frustrations on those that are out of reach, I beg, reach out for people who have the answers. You guys, is there anything that you want to add, and how people can connect with you in any way for these tangible solutions, and how can they help you?
So first of all, I was just going to say, in terms of the bailouts, unfortunately at this stage we do have to still keep giving our money to those people, because those are the people that are speaking up when so many of us can't. Those are the people that are a bit further ahead of their journey and being brave and their freedom for us. And so we have to stay with them. But beyond that, yes, we also do the not so obvious work and the not so obvious protest. The work that we're doing every day is a form of protest, but it's longer term, it's quieter, and it's not as publicized. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be funded. So yes, it does need it, but we also do need to stand in solidarity with those people that are putting their necks on the line for us, literally, and we salute them. You know, people follow us at Rivers Coaching. If you would like to donate to our work and, you know, a lot of the community stuff that we do in terms of bringing other radicals together to meet and talk and discuss, we do have a PayPal, which is paypal.me/Rivers Coaching. Anything you guys can think of?
I would just say, for the Black and minoritized people who are watching, please remember, as we've emphasized, it's not your fault. So what you're going through, your circumstances have not been brought upon by yourself. And so there's so much healing that needs to be done within the community. And that's why we're so big on awareness and making people really aware of what the real issues are. So as opposed to, oh, it's because it's single mums, oh, it's because knife crime, oh, it's because of drill music and grime music, and all of that deflective bullshit needs to stop. This is really, really deep within the system. It's a really, really well-oiled machine that has done this job for hundreds and hundreds of years to oppress Black people, to oppress minoritized people. And so the struggles that we are going through, and I'll say it again, they're not our fault. And we shouldn't have to always feel pressured to fix it. And that's why, as Alanna said when she talks about allyship, let white people step up. That's why if you need to rest, you need to rest. If you don't have the energy to make it to the march, you don't have the energy to make it to the march. If somebody tries to engage in certain discussions with you and you don't want to, lock off the phone, walk away, do what you need to do to protect yourself, because it's tiring enough. It really, really is tiring enough. And so I think that's one of my big things that I would say, is that it's not our fault. We don't deserve it. It is wrong. Trust your intuition as well. So if something feels wrong and if something feels racist, it very probably is.
I will go a step further. If something feels racist, it is racist. If you don't know that the thing that is happening is racist, it's racist. That is the underpinning of everything that exists in our world that we're living in. Whether you're white, Black, or whatever else, the underpinning of everything is racist. So even when you don't know it's racist, it's racist. So, I'm not questioning it. How you choose to engage with that, then it's your business. Follow us on Rivers Coaching. It's up in PayPal. Not because we're trying to get rich, because we're trying to do the work. Yeah. Like, people need to get paid to do the work. If your house was leaked, you had a leak in your house, you would pay for a plumber to come in. We deconstruct systems of oppression. What we do, that's what needs to happen. pay us. There's other people who do good work. There are supplementary schools in your area. There are people who are working unofficially doing this work every single day, sacrificing their time, sacrificing their money, sacrificing their labor, their emotional space. There are Black people who are taking on the extra burden of trying to fix everything for everybody else, so that we don't have to make sure that those people are able to live their lives while doing it. Make sure they're not having to burn out or having to quit or having to sacrifice absolutely everything. And we all sit here, and then 10 years later, someone else gets killed, and we're all sitting around going, "Wow, how are we still here in 2030?" Let's not yet. We can actually start stopping that cycle of doing things. It's weird.
It's thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much, everybody. I'll put all the details below. This has been the Three Sages, an amazing power force that is Alanna, Agoro, Ekow, Oliver, and Katherine. Do you want your government name, or should I just say Katherine?
I'm Katherine Agoro. So yeah, we're actually cousins, Alanna and I.
We're talking after, because I've seen some mighty moves on the streets with you guys. Beautiful family. Please connect. What's it called? You have your families. This can be your chosen one. Connect how you can. Put it all below. Thank you so much for your time. Peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Oh, thanks for watching, you guys. Take care.